Coming of life. Did you know that before any of us were born, there was a book being written? A book filled with all the secrets of things that happened a long time ago. The soft bodied creatures with the hard shell coverings wrote this book, and as they died, their shells fell to the ocean floor. As time passed, many shelled creatures lived and died. Their shells mixed with the sea floor, and many layers built up. As we peel away the layers, it is like reading the story of what happened long ago. Let's take a look at what happened. There were many kinds of life on Earth. There were amoebas, dinoflagellates so small that you can't see them just with your eye. There were sponges. We still have sponges today. Trilobites in great numbers. They moved about, eating and making more of themselves. Some were huge. They do not live today, but they are like today's lobsters. Here are the brachiopods, the bottom-dwelling marine forms that resemble mollusks because of their bivalve shells. One kind of creature looked like a flower, but they were not a flower at all. We call them sea lilies. The feathery part caught the food. When they died, their houses fell to the bottom of the ocean. The sea was full of all types of lives. One creature wouldn't eat what the others ate, and it made food from the salts in the sunlight. Some lived in the sea near the land. The tides carried them to the land. The air was full of carbon dioxide, which helped them make their own food. So eventually, some of them stayed on the land. And when they died, their bodies prepared the ground for others to come. The corals appeared. They were helping to build more land. Another animal with a rod inside its body developed. These were the first bones inside the body. Some of these creatures were fish. There was a great variety of fish. Some grew very big and some had armor. Some buried themselves in the mud for protection. Some swam better than others. Land rose up. Some places had no rain and the water dried up. If you need water and it dries up, you either die or you find another way to live. Fish were trapped and had to find a way to live, so we started to see amphibians, salamanders, and frogs. Up until then, Earth was silent, except for falling rain or the crashes of a rock. Amphibians liked life on the land, but stayed near the water. There were more plants. They grew fast and in a great variety. Amphibians had plenty to eat on land, but their skin had to be wet, and they had to lay their eggs in water. Some ventured farther inland and gradually developed skin that would not dry out. Their eggs had hard coverings. A new animal came, the reptile. The reptiles became lords and masters of the earth, taking over the land. They grew and grew. One was so long it had a second brain where its tail began. The huge reptiles began to eat all the other food, so smaller animals had to go where the reptiles couldn't, to colder regions. There were fewer plants, but they were smaller. They kept warm by developing fur and warm blood. They were the birds and the mammals. Mammals kept their eggs inside their bodies to keep them warm. Birds sat on their eggs. Birds fed and guarded their babies, and mammals, the mothers fed them milk. The reptiles did not do this. The weather on Earth had changed. It was very cold. Some scientists think that this is why the dinosaurs died out. The birds and mammals took over, many kinds of birds, giant hippos, elephants, and others. It got even colder. Earth was covered in ice. Huge mammals died out. Something very exciting happened. New being came with a larger brain to think and to imagine enormous amounts of love. A human being. The love of human beings went beyond their own children. It could even be given to those that a person could never know. Suppose the earth had a voice. She might have said, "Look, I have spread thick carpets of green grass for you to walk on. I have jewels all around. I put flowers in my hair to please you. My cupboards are full of meats. vegetables, fruits, and grain. In my cellars there is coal and iron. Now that I am ready, it is time for you to come. Please treasure me as much as I treasure you. And that is the timeline of life.